Good news can often get overlooked or buried by the negative in our everyday lives. So let's change that. I'm Adriana.
And I'm Wyatt.
We're just two ordinary people without any special qualifications or anything, trying to navigate life. We invite you to join us as we share wholesome stories, news articles of hope, and ideas about how we can all make the world just a little bit brighter. We are Uplifting Positive Stories. Welcome back to another episode of Uplifting Positive Stories. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
And welcome to the end of 2025.
Yes.
If you are watching this or listening to this on the day it drops, being New Year's Eve 2025, hopefully make it there okay. I mean, we're recording this several weeks in advance of the actual end of the year.
We're almost to 2026. Yeah, it's been quite a year.
I don't feel ready.
You don't feel ready?
The end of the year for 2026.
Yeah.
We have a lot of big things coming in 2026.
Yeah, we do, including a baby on the
Child.
way in just a couple months. Actually, 1 month. Anyways.
Sometime in the near future.
Crazy. But yeah, it's been quite a year. It's been a lot, I know, for us. I hope that y'all are having a great holiday season and stuff and everything's going well for you. Maybe working on creating those. What are those going to be? Those New Year's resolutions and all that kind of fun stuff.
Check on your friends and family that are fans of Stranger Things to see how we're all emotionally doing with the
that's right.
finale.
The New Year's
It's right
Day is
around
the
now.
finale. That's right. Yeah,
Everyone's bracing themselves for some deaths.
I know. I'm
Hopefully
scared.
not.
They said it's gonna be a sad episode.
Hopefully not. No one's gonna die. Everyone's gonna live. It's gonna be great. Positive times.
Yes.
Steve and Dustin are great. They'll work out their issues and they'll be all good.
Yes. Well, today's episode is all about New Year, New Outlook. And so there's just a bunch of stories in here about kind of changing our outlooks on different things, whether that be trying to view the world as more positive than we have in the 2025, trying to be more patient going into 2026, trying to be more positive or just more upbeat in general around strangers or whatever when we're out in public, like having new outlooks and stuff. And not necessarily do our New Year's resolutions have to be physical things. Like this past year, mine was learning Spanish more. Or
How'd that go, by the way?
Pretty good. I'm still on my Duolingo streak, so I'm still doing it.
How much Spanish do you feel like you actually know now?
More than I did at the beginning of the year. So there's been progress for sure.
That's good.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm like fluent or anything, but I didn't expect to be by any means when I made the resolution. I just wanted to become better at it where I could understand more, which I think I know definitely a lot more phrases than I did before.
Leave your comments in Spanish and see if she can translate them by reading them.
Please don't. I'm not that confident. But yeah, so like our resolutions don't always have to be like a physical thing of learning a new skill or losing weight or whatever, those things are. Those things are all good and great too. And not saying you don't not to do those things. It's great to do those things. But it's also great to have some like New Year's resolutions maybe that are more, I don't know, what's the word for it? Philosophical or more like changing metaphysical, changing our outlooks on things going into the next year or having a new mindset about something in some way. So yeah, just kind of that kind of thing. So we're going to dive into some stories that might help us with that.
By the way, fun fact, this is also our 80th episode.
Is it really?
That's what the math told me.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, on to our first story here. This one comes from Random Acts of Kindness, and it is titled, "Stop to Help a Stranded Mom with 2 Kids on the Highway. Added an hour to my commute after a 12-hour shift. No regrets." Here we go.
Wow. Whereas the 12-hour shifts are rough.
Yeah.
I don't even care what the job is. 12 hours is a long time to be working.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Was driving home after a 12-hour shift, dead tired, when I saw someone on the side of the highway with their hazards on. It was getting dark and starting to rain. Should have kept going. I was exhausted. Still had a 40-minute drive ahead of me, and honestly just wanted to collapse on my couch. But I pulled over. It was a woman with 2 kids in the back seat, flat tire, no spare, phone at 2%. She'd been there for over an hour and nobody had stopped. Told her that I'd drive her to the nearest gas station. It was 20 minutes in the wrong direction. Loaded everyone up, dropped her at the station where they could help her arrange a tow, waited with her until the tow truck confirmed that they were coming, and by the time I got back on the road, I'd added over an hour to my trip. Got home after 11 p.m., had to be up at 6 a.m. for another shift. She tried to give me money, but I refused. She cried a little and said she didn't know what she would have done. Honestly, I was so tired I could barely keep my eyes open the rest of the drive. Probably wasn't the smartest decision, but thinking about those kids sitting in that car in the dark and the rain, I'm glad I stopped. Sometimes doing the right thing is inconvenient as heck.
Unfortunately, I can admit that I feel like I've driven past cars with their hazards on and stuff, and especially when I'm tired, So extra kudos to this person for pulling over and
yeah, good Samaritan to do
'cause it's
that.
what is the fallacy called where someone else will
The
get them.
idea that someone else will do it.
Yeah, there's a name for it. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But,
It's a common thing,
yeah.
like where people assume that someone else will do it.
and then nobody does.
And then nobody does it. So, but this is an example that there are people that do. And I know, like, for my mom tells this story a lot. Like, she was a manager for a department store back in, like, I think this was like the 80s or early 90s. And they had to go to, like, meetings sometimes down in the cities. And it was like a 2.5 hour drive, and it was in the middle of winter, and it broke down on the side of the road, and she didn't know how to change the tire, and so she was like stuck and stranded out in the cold and the snow, and no one was stopping until finally this guy stopped and pulled over and helped her. She was worried she was gonna be stranded there because she didn't have a phone back then, like she didn't have a car phone, so she was worried that she was gonna be stranded there, and it was in the middle of the highway, like nowhere, no gas stations nearby. And so this person stopped and like helped her change her tire and got her back on the road and stuff like that and pulled her out. She's like, I don't know what I would have done if they wouldn't have helped me. I would have froze to death out there. Like, I don't know. And so, yeah, just reminder that there are a lot of good people out there, and there are people that do want to help and stuff like that. So, as we talk about a lot, but good mindset on life. So.
And especially this was like in winter here in Minnesota. That can be
right.
like
it can
life-threatening.
Be like life-changing, yeah.
That's why if you're up in the north in the cold, you got to always keep your gas tank at least halfway full in case you break down somewhere and you need to keep your car running for a lengthy period of time.
Waiting for a tow truck, yeah.
I said to myself as I let it run pretty low last time.
It's scary, yeah. So, but nice that people are willing to help out, and you do see a lot of that too. Like we've seen a lot of examples of that. So, but yeah.
I mean, I've gone at the Quick Trip parking lot when I got a major flat tire, and apparently it was too cold for AAA to come help, because apparently they called me like, are you safe? And apparently that was the wrong answer to say, yeah, I'm safe. And then at Quick Trip parking lot, like, oh, well, we can't do any, unless it's an emergency, we aren't sending anybody out because it's too cold. I'm like, what the heck? When the Quick Trip employee is like, oh, I'll help you out, and like help me change out.
That was really nice.
For a spare and stuff. And
yeah.
Didn't have to do that.
Yeah, that was super.
He didn't get anything
nice.
out of it. I offered him the cash I had on hand.
Yeah.
Just as a thank you, but.
Super nice. Very, very thoughtful. All right, on to our next story here. This one comes from Random Acts of Kindness and is titled A Story of Kindness to Restore Some Faith in Humanity. Here we go. So I am a teacher assistant at a public high school, and I work with the adaptive class, which are the kids with Downs or severe autism, etc. This is my first year working in this class. They always go to a hibachi restaurant for Thanksgiving as a class. We were using discounts and stuff, as well as students bringing in their own money for the field trip. We go to pay, but Santa already took care of the bill. The manager said a random customer covered us. We and the other teachers were all about to cry. Amidst all the turmoil and division and craziness in the country, this was an amazing experience. These kids are some of the absolute sweetest. They deserve all this and more, and I'm so glad that there are people who still do this. They didn't come talk to us or anything. We have absolutely no idea who paid, just doing it out of the kindness of their hearts.
Love the appreciation for the teachers.
Yes, and very, very cool. Like, I love the comment too about like turmoil and division and stuff like that. We're seeing a lot of that in like our news and a lot of that on social media and stuff like that. There's a lot of division among people and stuff like that. But then you see examples like this where people do kind things like this, and it's like a reminder that like take our heads out of that and look outside and see that there are a lot of people that are doing kind things and stuff like that, and remind ourselves that that's happening too.
Mm-hmm.
That there are people that just do it for the kindness of their hearts. Like there was no motivation other than to be kind. So yeah, restore some faith in our humanity going into 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knocking on wood for that.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on to our next story. This one comes from Ask Reddit, and the title is, What's a small act of kindness from a stranger that permanently changed how you see the world?
Permanently changed.
Yeah, it's
That
a
is
big question.
Bold statement.
I like this person's response. Here we go. When I was in kindergarten, I asked the school librarian if I could be the one to borrow a particular book the next week. He said yes. A week later, he came all the way to the classroom and asked to talk to me. He got down on my level and gently explained that he'd made a mistake and someone else had taken the book. He told me that he was sorry and acknowledged that I probably felt sad and upset and that was okay. He promised me he would not forget again, and then he gave me a brand new book from the Scholastic Book Fair. That moment taught me so much about showing consideration for others' feelings, taking accountability and apologizing when you make a mistake, accepting apologies graciously, accepting other people's difficult feelings as valid, caring about making amends when you make a mistake, and all organically just by modeling those things. He straight up had like Mr. Rogers type energy. Amazing educator. Mm-hmm. I like that story because it is such an important thing on all of those things that they pointed out about like taking accountability, showing consideration for their feelings. And the part that I liked the most was about accepting other people's difficult feelings as valid. Like the fact that this teacher said, I understand you might be upset and feel sad and that's okay. Like that's such an important thing that even as adults, I think we struggle with is like, when you mess up and you apologize, it's not always that they're going to instantly be like, yeah, it's fine, man. Like, that's totally okay. Like, they might still be upset and they might still feel sad and they might not respond to your apology immediately in a way that makes you feel better that you apologized. You know, like, that's such an important thing, I think, for people to realize. Like, that when the hurt is done.
Sure, marriages, too.
Yeah, when the
All relationships.
When the hurt is done in that moment, they're not always going to respond with feelings that are going to make you feel better for apologizing immediately. And so to model that by saying that as an educator to this kid and having that change their perspective and their outlook on things of like how I should approach when I apologize to people and accepting apologies as well and how to graciously accept an apology. Like that's just so important in life. Like that's such a big thing. And I think that we everybody can work on that because that's such a hard thing to do. It's really hard to apologize and take accountability when we screw up in a way that is very mature and very gracious and in a way that is going to be the best for the person receiving it. You know, like it's very difficult. I think that's one possible like New Year's resolution to have in general. Like it's nice to like work on that every year of like I'm gonna get a little bit better about taking accountability for things, or I'm gonna be a little bit better about being more gracious when someone apologizes to me and like showing them that I appreciate that, you know, like things like that, little things like that we can do that can make our lives more positive and our relationships more positive. So yeah, I thought that was a good example of that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Take responsibility for your actions.
Yeah,
without excuse, which is hard to do. Yeah. Not even because like you're making excuses like so the other person that you're apologizing to like forgives you, but like it's almost like a self-defense mechanism, right. You know, because like you're feeling guilty and so you're trying to like displace that guilt, like because of this and this, and you know, I'm saying that as someone who's guilty of doing that sometimes it's unintentionally hard. You know.
Yeah, but a good example of how to do it, a good model of that from this. So yeah, pretty cool. All right, on to our next story here. This one comes from Ask Reddit. The question was, what's a small act of kindness you've witnessed or experienced that you'll never forget? Here we go. When I was in summer camp, we were lining up to buy things like sweets, shirts, etc. at the camp shop. Since we were kids, most of us had just been given an amount of physical money by our parents to deposit in our accounts. So if we weren't keeping track of everything we bought, which was the case of most kids, we didn't really know how much we had left. It was the second weekend and I'd already bought a hoodie and a bunch of sweets. I was in line to buy a water bottle and some chocolates and candy. When it reached my turn, the lady working at the shop said I didn't have enough money left to buy everything. With that, I started separating some things to leave behind. I paid and I left to find my friends. A few moments later, a boy came rushing after me and handed me a bag. He said he was behind me in line and saw what had happened, and when I opened the bag, there was literally every single thing that I'd left behind. Yeah, just super, super sweet. Good reminder again. Good people out there. Good kids out there. Good kids out there. That's really sweet. Now, our next one here is actually a listener submitted story. So, thank you so much for
Ooh.
submitting this. It's very, very, very cool. So, here we go.
If you submit it, we will possibly read it.
Yes. I love getting listener submitted stories. It's awesome. All right. So, this one says, this past May, my husband and I got married. It was the most beautiful day, full of love, family, and everything we had hoped for. After the reception, when all the noise and excitement faded, we were lying in bed together, replaying every moment. We started talking about the people we wished could have been there. His dad passed away in 2013, and my mom passed away in 2012. I remember saying, I just wish my mom and your dad could have seen us today. And literally seconds later, my phone lit up. It looked like I'd gotten a message, but when I picked it up, something strange happened. The screen showed a picture, but not one that I had seen in years. It was my mother, young, a photo from when she was a teenager. I froze. I tried to tap the screen, but it disappeared instantly. So I went to my camera roll, and there it was, a screenshot I'd taken back in 2012 right after she passed. A picture that I hadn't opened, looked at, or even thought about in so long. And in that moment, I just started crying because it felt like my mom had found a way to be there with me right after my wedding, right when I was missing her the most. I don't know what anyone else would call it, a coincidence, a glitch, something spiritual, but to me it felt like a message, a reminder that the people we love don't really leave us, they still find us, they still show up. And on the day of my wedding, my mom showed up for me.
Wow.
I got like goosebumps reading it again, even though I've read this before.
Well, multiple levels. Well, the long-time listeners know that we're wedding videographers. So we've gone to a lot of weddings, and that has, led to a lot of weddings where there's a parent or multiple parents who are no longer alive that have like special things left for them at the weddings, whether it's like a dedication table, or we had one wedding, I won't name the couple, but their mom, the bride's mom, recently passed away, like tragically, like
not but long
like
before
weeks
the wedding.
before, and like she had a dress for the day and everything, and that dress was at the wedding and
Yeah,
such.
they had a little
and
display with her
his
dress.
dad was also not alive no longer, not as recent, but still. Yeah. Or we had another wedding that same year. It's probably the wedding where I bawled the most, like behind the camera, was when like the bride's dad had not been around, and they did a specialty song and she danced with her mom.
Oh yeah.
Or like, no, sorry, it wasn't just with her mom, but like
everybody was invited to, like, it was a way to like
it was the song dedicated to her dad.
That couldn't be there.
Yeah, and then she was dancing with her mom, like they're crying as they're hugging, and I'm like, capturing this on camera. I'm just like behind the camera,
We're all crying.
like, oh.
Yeah.
Because I've never experienced that level of loss, but like empathetically, like seeing them kind of like, coming to grips with that and stuff. Because weddings are a place that like really brings out the emotions, and especially for those who you wish could be there that aren't.
Yeah, it's true. It's really, really hard. But it's also like, I mean, going back to this story, like, that's really, I don't even know what to make of. Like, that's crazy that happened. Like, that they were just sitting there talking about that, and then the phone to light up with a picture. Like, I mean, no matter what you believe or whatever, that's really crazy. Like, amazing. I know, like, immediately this came to mind when I read this story, and it was just like, it gave me goosebumps too again, because I forgot about this. My mom had just lost her dad, and I'm not gonna, like, this was many years ago. I was a kid, so I might get details not absolutely 100%, but basically my mom had a laptop that had like a folder of images that it would like rotate with as a background screensaver, and like the day after, like the morning after my grandpa passed away, my mom opened up her laptop, and the screensaver was an image that she'd never seen before, and it was not and there was no updates on the laptop. She did not add this photo in there, like no clue how it got in there. And it was this like beautiful like tree of life image, and it had this really like amazing quote on it, and I really wish I knew what the quote said. I don't even know. I hope my mom saved it. But it was like it really hit for my mom. Whatever it said felt like it was like a message from her dad, kind of. And like, it just felt very much like a I'm okay kind of thing. And like it really was emotional for her. And she was just like, I have no idea how this came on my computer. Like, this is incredible. So again, like, no matter what you believe, it's just amazing to see like these miracle things that can happen and stuff like that. And like reminders that like we're not alone. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was really, really cool. And this story reminded me of that. And I think it's really cool that we share those kind of stories when they happen and stuff like that, because I don't know. It's just like I feel like these are usually really like emotional things that like we kind of hold dear to our hearts that we don't always share because it's an emotional thing, and I completely get that. So like, thank you to this person that shared this with all of us, because that's really, really cool. And again, like I got goosebumps, and like that's incredible. That's really
Mm-hmm.
cool. And so yeah, I think it's cool to share these things and stuff like that, because I don't know, it's just neat to feel like we're not alone, and like even our loved ones that pass away, maybe they are like watching down on us and being a part of those things and stuff, and like reminding us that they're there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and just made me think about, those weddings that we filmed that, their parents weren't there physically, but now, it's sparking that thought of like maybe they were there.
Right,
I don't know.
exactly.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Something I haven't really thought about it until now because, we're there to do a job, and I'm already feeling empathetic towards their situation and stuff and their
Right.
emotions.
But
To have
that
that
part of
extra
it.
thought on top of that, like, oh, maybe they were there. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I just
I
thought that
hope
was
so. I like
amazing.
that thought.
Right? Yeah. Very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thank you again for sharing that. We really loved reading that. So, thank you.
Got a palate cleanser after that. Not that that was like emotionally, like it was, let's tell you, emotionally heavy, just in a
It's
a
like,
different kind of way.
yeah, I just still like feel like whoa,
More like
like
goosebumps, like emotional,
goosebumps
not
kind of,
like,
yeah.
oh, I'm depressed now, like, oh, that was a
No,
downer. No, it was just
that's
like,
really
whoa, like,
cool.
just makes you think things and consider life, and the preciousness of it and
Right.
cherishing those around you, which hopefully everyone got to pretty well after the holidays and stuff here,
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
hug each other.
So this next story is from the subreddit Deciding to Be Better. Which is an interesting subreddit, by the way. Like, I liked reading through it. It was very interesting. It was a lot of people, like, seeking advice on how to, like, fix things going on in their lives, whether it be, like, they're trying to overcome an addiction, or they're trying to get a new job, or trying to change a mindset that they have. Like, it's a lot of that kind of stuff, and people seeking advice, and then they share progress updates about, like, if things are working out and how they've been doing that and stuff. So it's a really cool, like, for especially going into the new year, I thought it was a cool thread to look into. But this one someone posted I thought was cool. It's titled Update. 100,000 plus people saw my story. I'm still overwhelmed, but I don't feel alone anymore. And this one was a progress update. Someone said, a few days ago, I posted about feeling lost at 30, jobless, separated, hopeless, and stuck in regret. I didn't think anyone would care. I hit post because I didn't know what else to do. Then something crazy happened. Over 100,000 people saw it. Hundreds liked and replied. Dozens messaged me privately. People told me their own stories. Others gave encouragement, hard truths, or just said, me too. It was overwhelming, but in the best way possible. For the first time in a long time, I don't feel invisible. I don't feel like my pain is some weird, shameful secret I have to carry alone. It turns out a lot of people are out here quietly struggling too, and some of you have been where I am and came back. I don't have it all figured out yet, but I've started taking small steps. I've been journaling every day just to get my thoughts out and make sense of everything. I'm applying to jobs that feel calmer and more aligned with what I need right now, which is something that won't completely drain me. I've also been trying to be more honest with the people around me, even when it's uncomfortable. And for once, I'm not obsessing over fixing everything overnight. I'm just trying to show up for myself, one day at a time. If you commented, messaged, or just read and felt something, I want to thank you. You reminded me that healing doesn't always start with a plan. Sometimes it just starts with being heard. Yeah. So, kind of a cool post to point out that, like, sometimes just admitting that when you're struggling, or you're admitting when you're feeling a certain way, like, can be like the first step in like
Mm-hmm.
helping to get out of that. Just being heard,
Yeah.
and not even like just to like get advice, which they got that too, it sounds like, but like just to be able to get it out
Mm-hmm.
and just say I'm struggling with this.
Yeah.
And that can really help like when we're trying to make a change in our lives and whatever it is, big or small, to be able to be like, this is my issue. This is what I'm struggling with. This is what I'm trying to do. Like, I want to be better at this, or I want to change this about myself. And being willing to open up, because there's a good chance there's a lot of others that are also feeling that way. And sometimes just feeling that community of, okay, there's other people that have this too, that feel this way, can really help you to be like, I can overcome it then. You know, like if they can, I can too. So I thought that was really, really cool. And an example too of the internet being able to do that, have people be able to see each other and be like, I also feel that way. So yeah, case in point, 100,000 plus people.
Them describing their situation and stuff, kind of their mindset, kind of makes me think of the movie we watched recently, Tick Tick Boom.
Oh yeah. That's a good movie.
Would recommend Andrew Garfield, guy who he playing the guy who wrote the musical hit Rent.
Yeah.
But before that, I don't want to give things away from it, but it sounds very similar in terms of approaching 30 and life not exactly going the way that he was expecting or hoping, you know, and
yeah, I think there's a lot of people that feel that way, where things, you know, life isn't taking the exact track we pictured or things like that. You know, like I think that's a very common experience, a way of feeling, especially in like your 20s and your 30s. Like I think that's a very common thing. Like, and so being able to voice that and find others that also feel that way can sometimes help. Like, okay, I'm not alone in this. You know, I don't need to feel ashamed about that.
And everyone's on their own journey.
Exactly.
Their own timeline.
100%. But yeah, that was a cool post. But again, I recommend that thread. It's very interesting. Okay, on to our next series of comments here for this post. So this was posted in Parenting. And the question was...
Trying to at me?
What are some cool...
prepare.
What are some cool New Year's traditions you guys do as a family? And someone wrote, I'm genuinely curious. I'm a first-time mom, and I'm trying to think of cool traditions to do with family. Also curious to see what everyone eats on New Year's. This year, me and my family are making homemade pizzas. So I got a bunch of people's responses to this, of how they celebrate New Year's. I picked the ones that I thought were the most fun or interesting or wholesome. So here we go. First one, someone said, we really only have one. All year long, we put notes and memories in our good things jar. Things like fun events we did, big things like an award, vacations, and little things or moments we don't want to forget. Anything. Then on January 1st, we take turns pulling a card out and reading them all. We had some really challenging years, and this has helped us see the good things, no matter how small. Yeah, I think that's kind of a cool idea, having a jar of little notes that you kind of, when something nice happens, writing it down. Because a lot of those things do kind of get lost in the hustle and bustle. Like, we have a big thing we do each year. That's kind of fun. But this is our anniversary tradition. But it is every year, where we have a book and we write down, like, in screenplay format, because we met and working in a film class, and that was kind of our thing for a long time, was making movies and loving movies. And so we write down like kind of a synopsis of like what happened over the year, the good, the bad, everything in between. And then every year you can reread the last few years worth of stuff, and then read our story or whatever for each other. We take turns. So I think this year it's my turn to write it, right?
Good freaking log. We have a baby due around that time.
True. But it's fun to see like what the fun things and the positive things that happened in the past year, and reflect on them and be like, what good things happened in this past year? And I'm going to write those down. You know, like it's kind of cool to have that exercise to keep stock of that going into a new year.
Baby's either going to fall at the end of your section of writing or at the very beginning for mine for next year.
We'll see.
One of them twos.
We'll see. All right, on to the next one here. When I was a kid, my dad opened a champagne bottle at midnight and drew a little star where the cork hit the ceiling. Every year, we get one more star in our family constellation. This New Year's Eve is my first in my own house, so I drew the first star of my constellation. The kids were really excited to start this tradition. I think that's kind of cool and unique. I'd never heard of that.
Huh.
Yeah, I think that's kind of neat. Kind of a cool way of, I don't know, commemorating New Year's. I thought that was neat. All right, another one here. This one's kind of funny. We always had homemade hot fudge sundaes with all the fixings. My first New Year's Eve as a baby, my parents were sad and alone with a newborn and ordered McDonald's hot fudge sundaes. And when they got them, my dad said a very over-the-top Happy New Year. It was fun to feel like that kind of depressing moment had turned into a real, live, genuine family tradition after that. And I always loved having tons of maraschino cherries. So, I mean, with us, like we were just mentioning, becoming new parents and stuff, I've heard things of like, your traditions change and stuff like that. The things you do to celebrate holidays become different. Like, you might not be able to go out to a New Year's party or whatever, which we weren't really partiers to begin with. But in general, like, there's a lot of things that you might look forward to that might not be able to happen when you have a little baby, with you and stuff. And so making those new traditions. So in this scenario with the hot fudge sundaes and carrying that forward, like, we're a family now. We're all going to have our hot fudge sundaes because that's what we did the first time when we brought you home when you were newborn on New Year's. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's kind of cool. Keeping that going. The memories. All right, another one here. I really like this one. This one's really unique. We have a fire outside every year. We go around and we write down one thing we want to leave behind in the current year. You can tell everyone or just write it down and keep it to yourself, and then we throw the paper in the fire and let it go. We also do a time capsule to open next New Year's Eve. Everyone puts something small that represents what's going on in their world right now. A report card with good grades, a favorite TV show poster, a binky for a new baby, etc. And we all put down one goal for the year and put it on the forgotten closet shelf. Then we open last year's box and see if we met our goals and reminisce about the things that we put in there. Yeah, I think that's really cool. I especially like the whole like writing down something you want to leave behind in the current year, and putting it in the fire for the bonfire. I think that's really, really cool. It's a cool way to kind of symbolize that, because there are things sometimes like old mindsets or things that didn't go well in that past year that were like, I want to let this go. Or I want to move forward from this, or I don't want to be like this anymore. I'm going to try to turn a new leaf in this area. Like, I think that's cool to reflect on that. And also the fact that you can share it and tell other people, or you can just keep it to yourself and throw it in the fire. I think that's a cool way of handling that. So, yeah. All right. Another one here. My family was really poor for a few years when I was a kid, but my mom always tried to make a special super surprise meal on New Year's. Most of these meals I don't remember food-wise, but I remember my mom having us all sit down like we were at a 5-star restaurant and using the good plates, being dressed up in whatever way kids had decided were fancy, and eating dinner. I have very few fun, amazing, and positive childhood memories that involve my whole family, but I have these. With my kids, 7 and 4 years old, I've evolved a bit. They pick a meal they want and we make it as a family. And when their godparents or other guests show up for dinner, they get to show off their handiwork. Last year, we did spaghetti with meatballs and they were so proud it melted my heart. Super wholesome. Couple more. This one says, my kids and I make confetti Rice Krispie treats each year. They're just regular Rice Krispie treats, but we spread melted chocolate on top, and then the kids go crazy shaking every kind of sprinkles we have on top. Once the chocolate hardens, we cut it and deliver plates of treats to neighbors. Kind of fun and wholesome.
That's fun.
Yeah, I like that one. And then our last one here. Each person writes a fortune for the next year. We put them in balloons and we blow them up. At some point, we sit around and each person gets a balloon. We take turns popping them, usually by sitting on them because it's funny. We then read our fortunes aloud. Lately, we've added a more complicated twist. Everyone writes a first half and a last half of a fortune. We then make sure a random first half and last half get put in the balloon. We do the same thing reading aloud. This twist allows people who are less confident in being creative or funny off the hook. You might end up with, this year, you will find a fortune, but there will be lots of diapers to clean. So it's kind of like a Cards Against Humanity kind of situation. I think that's funny. I think it's kind of cool. Kind of a fun, silly tradition, but neat and fun. So, yeah.
Keeping it fresh, keeping it original.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's fun to see what other people do. I feel like New Year's is one of those ones where there's so many different ways to celebrate. Like, you ask anyone how they celebrate, and it's usually different from the next person's. Like, growing up, ours was always watching a movie marathon of some kind. We'd pick a series that we hadn't seen, and we'd just binge watch a whole marathon as a family and have, like, finger foods and stuff like that. That was always our tradition. And there was a game called like Hollywood Dominoes. If you played Mexican Train, it's basically that, but just movie coded. And so it's like 13 rounds. So we divide that up and we'd have prizes and stuff like that. We'd play like 2 rounds of that and then watch a movie, and then 2 rounds of that and watch a movie. It was fun. It was like what we did every single year. It was fun. Yeah. So interesting to see what people's traditions are.
Mm-hmm.
On to our news article for today. This one comes from cbc.ca. So this is from British Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a story about a family that had given their 2 little toddlers bikes as Christmas gifts. And on New Year's, unfortunately, they went to go on a hike. They were going to go look at the waterfall on this hike, and they left their bikes for just for 5 minutes, and they came back and the bikes were gone.
Thieves.
So they believed it were stolen. They filed a police report, and somebody had come across them when they told them what happened and stuff. And this person named Dawn Jones came across them, and she was like, "I'm gonna ask around on Facebook and see if anybody's reported anything being resold online," because they were worried the bikes were going to be resold online. So she made a post being like, "Hey, if anyone sees the bikes for sale anywhere, let me know and I'll send them a message. Who knows, maybe we can prove there's still goodness in Penticton, their local community." So she did that on January 1st. She made that post. What's crazy, and we've had a lot of stories like this, but it's just crazy to see, there was an outpouring of people that were like, "Can I help pay for these bikes for this family? Because I want to replace their bikes for them." So she got all sorts of strangers reaching out, messaging this. In total, she received $240 from 7 people to help pitch in for the bikes. And so she was able to go to a hardware store and buy 2 bikes that were similar to the ones that had been stolen. And the very next day, they were able to deliver these bikes to these kids. The kids were ecstatic. They were riding around the house the next day. And on top of that, even more surprising, there was a Facebook message that said that the 2 missing bikes were turned in to it sounds like the police department. So the person that stole them gave them back. So now the family is actually going to donate the new bikes that Jones had purchased to a family in need that would like the bikes.
Okay.
And to quote the family, they wrote, "It was a great lesson in the goodness of the human spirit for my children, and hopefully we get a chance to pay this forward someday soon." Very wholesome all the way around.
Sounds like they kind of did by donating the bikes
the
new bikes,
that people pitched in
easily
for.
could have kept the new bikes and just donated the used ones, but they did the other way around.
Super cool. And the fact that person that did steal them brought them back in.
Or they recovered somehow.
So all around extremely wholesome, and just a good reminder to all of us that there are good people out there. Again, I know I say that I'm like a broken record, but that's what this whole point of this podcast is.
Yeah.
So
we're putting a spotlight on them.
Yes, exactly. So with that, it's just exciting going into a new year. I know for myself, I've been focused more on figuring out, okay, what are my New Year's resolutions for the next year? For me personally, I was trying to get a little more, like we said, metaphysical with it rather than tangible, because I know I'm going to have less time with a new kid on the way. So I was like, okay, what are some resolutions for me that I can probably achieve or try to achieve? And so for me, one big one is trying to be, and this sounds cliche, but it's true, be more in the moment. Because I know for me, I'm a planner. I like to think ahead. I like to look forward to things. And sometimes I don't take stock in what's happening in the moment and really reflect on what's happening right now. And especially becoming a new mom and stuff like that, that's really important to me, is to not miss those little things that are going to happen in front of my eyes. And there's a lot that I'm very excited for the future, obviously, as, our son grows and is able to, talk and walk around, and we can see his personality. There's so many things that I'm excited for, that down the road, but also cherishing those little moments as they happen, even in the midst of when things are hard, because I've heard that, there's a lot of hard when you first have a kid. So that's, for me, that's my
Not
New Year's
us
resolution.
though. Not us.
What do you mean not us?
That won't happen to us.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Not. I'm curious to see what everybody else's New Year's resolutions are for next year. I'm curious do you have anything like that? Do you think that you can think of that you want to carry into next year?
Maybe just having more patience.
That's a good one too. I mean, we
particularly
all could.
with myself, you know?
That's true too. I get that.
Like when I'm trying to do something and it's not working and being like accepting that this is part of the journey here in this moment,
It's fair.
you know?
Yeah.
Especially when we got 14 inches of snow last week. I was not, and this last week being when we were recording this,
Yeah.
it was our first snowfall of the year, and it was so gosh darn windy. On top of the fact there was wet, heavy snow, I was very displeased out there. I was very not displaying patience at all. So working on that.
That's a good one. That's a really, really good one. Honestly, like it's important, and we all could work on that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Fun time.
Actually, another big one is not being on my phone so much.
That's also a good one.
I know that's
could
something
also
we
do
talked
that.
about, like trying to not. It's challenging because I need at least a little bit for my job and then for our
Right.
business, you know, because I don't want to like display that behavior to our son. I don't
That's
want
fair.
matter too much when he's a baby, but you know
still,
that stuff develops
that
over
habit.
time. I don't want him to be witnessing that so much.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
could be better at that too.
We'll see how we do.
We'll
see how we do. Let's try to limit that
That's
screen
how it goes
time.
with any New Year's resolution. Let's see.
We'll know we're being successful if we get a lot of push notifications from Facebook or
As they become more
Instagram.
frantic when you don't open the app for a
Yeah.
while. It's true.
Yeah, that's something we learned when we were on cruises where we had our service turned off. Is that they're really fishing at the bottom of the barrel.
Overkill.
Like this one person, like you never speak to or comment on, posted.
Wow, that's riveting. Thanks, Facebook.
Anyways, if we start getting those while having access to service, I think we'll be doing
We're
okay.
doing good. Awesome. Well, with that, we hope you all have a wonderful new year. And if you have any positive stories that you'd like to share with us, again, thank you so much to the listener that submitted that awesome story. We would love to share them. We love sharing people's stories. And you can send them to us at upliftingpositivestories@gmail.com.
And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button or leave a comment.
That'd be awesome. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful new year. And yeah, have a great week.
And stay positive.